John Wick, Chapter 2 is a 2017 American action thriller film directed by Chad Stahelski and written by Derek Kolstad. As the direct sequel to John Wick, 2014, it is the second installment in the John Wick franchise. The film stars Keanu Reeves as the title character, with a supporting cast of Common, Lawrence Fishburne, Riccardo Scamarcio, Ruby Rose, Lance Reddick, Peter Stormare, Bridget Moynihan, Franco Nero, John Leguizamo, and Ian McShane. The film's plot follows retired hitman John Wick, Reeves, as he is forced back into his old life to fulfill a blood oath to crime lord Santino D'Antonio, Scamarcio. Following the box office success of the previous film, Stahelski and the first film's uncredited CO director David Leitch said a sequel film begun development in February 2015. Later that same month, John Feldheimer confirmed plans for additional John Wick properties to create a media franchise, and announced the return of Kolstad as the sequel's screenwriter. Principal photography began in October 2015 and lasted until early that following year, with filming taking place in Montreal, New Jersey, New York City, and Rome. John Wick, Chapter 2 had its premiere at the ArcLight Hollywood in Los Angeles on January 30, 2017, and was released by Lionsgate in the United States on February 10. The film received acclaim from critics, with praise for the action sequences, direction, editing, visual style, and the performances of the cast, particularly Reeves. For it grossed $174.3 million worldwide, becoming the then highest-grossing film in the franchise. A sequel, John Wick, Chapter 3 Parabellum, was released in May 2019. Plot: John Wick infiltrates a smuggling compound run by Abram Tarasov, who is highly strung following the recent deaths of his nephew Iosif and brother Vigo at John's hands. There, he recovers his stolen Boss 429 Mustang and kills all of Abram's men in a violent rampage, but spares Abram himself under the promise of peace. Returning home, he sends his Mustang off to be repaired by Aurelio and attempts to restart his life of quietude. That night, John is visited by the Camorra crime boss Santino D'Antonio, who, given John's brief return from retirement, is now seeking his services. John is bound by a marker, a medallion symbolizing a blood oath, with Santino, who had helped him complete the impossible task that allowed him to retire and marry Helen. Nevertheless, John refuses, prompting Santino to destroy his house with a grenade launcher. After surviving Santino's attack, he travels to the Continental Hotel in New York City, where Winston reminds him that the underworld has two strictly enforced rules: no conducting business, i.e., assassinations, on Continental grounds, and honoring the marker. To avoid a death sentence, John reluctantly accepts Santino's marker and is tasked with assassinating Santino's sister Gianna, allowing Santino to claim her seat at the High Table, a council of 12 high-level crime bosses in the underworld. Santino sends Ares, his mute bodyguard, to observe John's mission. In Rome, John makes his way through Gianna's coronation and finds her in her dressing room. Faced with certain death, she chooses to slit her wrists, after which he shoots her in the head to end her suffering and fulfill Santino's marker. While leaving the site, John is attacked by Gianna's bodyguard Cassian, forcing him to flee to the nearby catacombs, where he is double-crossed by Ares, who intends to kill him to tie up loose ends on Santino's behalf. After killing most of Ares' henchmen, Cassian again pursues John, with the ensuing fight leading them into the Rome Continental, where they are stopped from conducting business. John explains that he was forced to kill Gianna due to her brother's marker. Cassian, while understanding, tells him that he cannot let the assassination go unpunished, but promises to grant him a quick death. The Rome Continental's manager, Julius, gives John safe passage back to New York. Santino has opened a contract to have John assassinated, ostensibly to avenge his sister's death. As John fights off numerous assassins, Winston visits Santino and confirms the marker's fulfillment, thus freeing John from being unable to defy or harm Santino. In the New York City subway, John encounters Cassian, and the two men engage in a grueling melee that ends with Cashin being stabbed in the aorta and left for dead. Now severely injured, John seeks aid from an underground crime boss known as the Bowery King. Intrigued by his intent to kill a member of the High Table, the Bowery King sportingly gives John a Kimber M1911 pistol with 7 bullets, 1 for each million of the contract. He also directs him to an art museum, where Santino holds a gala. John attacks the museum and kills all of Santino's subordinates, including Ares, whose actions buy time for Santino to escape to the Continental, where he boasts about remaining in sanctuary indefinitely. Despite Winston's calls for restraint, John executes Santino in the Continental Lounge. The next day, Winston meets with John and explains that the Camorra has doubled the bounty on John's head, offering it globally. Further, for conducting business on Continental grounds, per the High Table's rules, Winston is forced to declare John excommunicado, terminating his privileges and access to underworld resources. However, due to their friendship, Winston delays the excommunicado status by 1 hour and provides him with a marker for future use. Before leaving, John tells Winston to warn every High Table assassin that he will kill everyone who tries to hunt him down. As John departs, Winston formally initiates the excommunicado contract process, setting it to go live in 1 hour. Increasingly tense, John begins running, as phones around him start to ring en masse. Cast. A photograph of Keanu Reeves. A photograph of Riccardo Scamarcio. A photograph of Common. Keanu Reeves, pictured in 2015, Riccardo Scamarcio, 2009, and Common, 2011. Keanu Reeves as John Wick, a legendary hitman who comes out of retirement after Russian mobsters break into his house, kill his puppy, and steal his car. After wiping out his offenders, he is wholly thrust back into the criminal underworld in order to fulfill a blood oath to the man who enabled his retirement. Riccardo Scamarcio as Santino D'Antonio, an Italian crime boss who enabled John's retirement by helping him complete an impossible task in exchange for John swearing by a blood oath medallion known as a marker. Invoking the marker, he seeks to have his sister assassinated by John, with the intention of usurping her position and then eliminating John to tie up loose ends. 5. Claudia Gerini as Gianna D'Antonio, an Italian crime boss who inherited her father's empire and status as a member of the prestigious High Table. She is the sister of Santino and an old friend of John. Ian McShane as Winston Scott, the owner and manager of the Continental Hotel in New York City. He is a powerful underworld figure and a close friend of John, for whom he acts as a father figure. 6. Ruby Rose as Ares, a mute assassin who serves as Santino's personal bodyguard. 5. Common as Cashin, an assassin who serves as Gianna's personal bodyguard. 7. Lawrence Fishburne as the Bowery King, an underground crime lord of New York City and an enemy turned acquaintance of John. 8. Lance Reddick as Karen, the concierge at Winston's Continental Hotel in New York City and an acquaintance of John. 5. Peter Stormare as Abram Tarasov, a Russian crime boss in New York City and the last of the Tarasov family's major figures. He is the uncle of Iosif Tarasov and the brother of Viggo Tarasov, both of whom were killed by John in the events of the first film. Franco Nero as Julius, the owner and manager of the Continental Hotel in Rome. John Leguizamo as Aurelio, the owner of a high-end chop shop and an old friend of John. 5. Bridget Moynihan as Helen Wick, John's late wife, who succumbed to a terminal illness sometime before the end of John's retirement. 5. Thomas Sadoski as Jimmy, a police officer in New York City and an acquaintance of John. Peter Serafino as the sommelier, a weapons supplier at the Continental Hotel. Luca Mosca as the tailor, a tailor and armorer at the Continental Hotel. Yuma Diakite as Lucia, the concierge at Julius Continental Hotel in Rome. Tobias Siegel as Earl, a homeless criminal and assassin who works for the Bowery King in New York City. Was Stevensda as the consigliere, a Russian mobster and Abrams' top subordinate. Chikwudi Iwuji as Mr. Akani, an underworld figure who is in debt to or part of the high table and in an uneasy position with Gianna's organization. Yamamoto Yamarita as Raja, a Japanese sumo wrestler and assassin who hunts John in an attempt to claim Santino's bounty. Production. Development. In February 2015, directors Chad Stahelski and David Leitch stated that a John Wick sequel had begun development. 10/11 in the same month, John Feldheimer, CEO of Lionsgate, stated during a conference call that we see John Wick as a multiple-title action franchise. Additionally, it was reported that Kalstad would return to write the screenplay. 12 in May 2015, it was confirmed that a sequel was greenlit, and Lionsgate would be selling the film at the Cannes Film Festival. Reeves and Stahelski appeared in a 30-minute AOL-billed interview in early February 2017 to discuss the development and casting of the film. 13. Casting. It was announced that Keanu Reeves, Leitch, and Stahelski would return, with filming set to begin in late 2015. 14 in October 2015, Common joined the film to play the head of security for a female crime lord. 7 and Ian McShane was confirmed to return as Winston, the owner of the Continental Hotel. 15 in November 2015, Bridget Moynihan, John Leguizamo, Thomas Sadoski, and Lance Reddick were confirmed to return, while Ruby Rose, Riccardo Scamarcio, and Peter Stormare were added to the cast, due to Michael Nyqvist having health problems. 5 in December 2015, it was announced that Lawrence Fishburne would appear in a supporting role. 16 Reeves was trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu by the Machado brothers for the role. 17. Filming. Principal photography on the film began on October 26, 2015, in New York City. 18 At the end of first week, filming had taken place in Manhattan. Filming moved to Rome next 15 and later resumed in Montreal on October 28, 2015. Studio shots were located in New Jersey. 19. Filming locations. Continental Hotel in New York, Reality, Beaver Building in Manhattan. The Flatiron-shaped 15-story skyscraper was completed in 1904 in the Renaissance Revival style. 19. Rooftop of the Continental Hotel in New York, Reality, Roof Garden of the Rockefeller Plaza Building. 19. John Wick's House, Reality, 121 Mill Neck, Long Island, New York. 19. Continental Hotel in Rome, Reality, the Museo Centrale del Risorgimento, located next to the Roman Forum. 19. Gianna's Coronation Party, Reality, the ruins of the Baths of Caracalla, the nearly 1,800-year-old Roman public baths. 19. Music. Main article, John Wick, Chapter 2, Soundtrack. Tyler Bates and Joel J. Richard returned to write and compose the film's soundtrack. 20 Along with the return of L.E. Castlevania and CISC Andra Nostalgia 21, the soundtrack has also featured Alice in Chains guitarist and CO lead vocalist Jerry Cantrell in the song A Job to Do, whose lyrics were written by Cantrell from the perspective of Keanu Reeves' character. 22. Release. Theatrical. John Wick, Chapter 2 premiered at ArcLight Hollywood in Los Angeles on January 30, 2017, and was theatrically released in the United States on February 10, 2017, by Summit Entertainment. 23 In the United Kingdom, the film was granted a 15 certificate by the British Board of Film Classification after 23 seconds of a suicide scene were removed to avoid an 18 rating. 1 The film opened in UK cinemas on February 17, 2017, and was distributed by Warner Brothers, with CO production from Lionsgate Studio Summit Entertainment. Australia was one of the last major countries to receive the film, with a release on May 18. 24. Home media. John Wick, Chapter 2 was released on DVD, Blu-ray and Ultra HD Blu-ray on June 13, 2017, from Summit Inc. /Lionsgate. 25, 26, 27. Reception. Box office. John Wick, Chapter 2 grossed $92 million in the United States and Canada and $82.3 million in other territories for a worldwide gross of $174.3 million. 3. The film grossed $90.5 million worldwide in its first 9 days of release, surpassing the entire theatrical gross of the first film, $88.8 million. 28. In the United States and Canada, the film opened alongside 2 other sequels, the Lego Batman movie and 50 Shades Darker, and was projected to gross around $20 million in its opening weekend. 29/30 It earned $2.2 million from Thursday night previews at 2,400 theaters, an improvement over the $870,000 made by its predecessor. It made $11 million on its first day, nearly totaling the $14.4 million the first film made in its entire opening weekend. It went on to open to $30.4 million, more than double the opening weekend of the original film and finishing third at the box office behind the Lego Batman movie, $53 million, and 50 Shades Darker, $46.6 million. 2. In its second weekend the film grossed $16.2 million, a drop of 46.7%, finishing fourth at the box office and making more in its second weekend than the original film made in its first. 28. Critical response. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 89% based on 284 reviews and an average rating of 7.00/10. The website's critical consensus reads, John Wick, Chapter 2 does what a sequel should, which in this case means doubling down on the non-stop, thrillingly choreographed action that made its predecessor so much fun. 31 on Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 75 out of 100, based on reviews from 43 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. 32 audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A on an A and to F scale, an improvement from the B received by its predecessor, while Post-Track reported filmgoers gave it an 85% overall positive score and a 72% definite recommend. 33.2. Scott Tobias of Uproar said the film improved upon the original, writing, for better or worse, though mostly for better. It's a full-scale assault on the senses, constantly pushing itself to greater feats of excess. At this rate, a third John Wick might trigger the apocalypse. 34 Mike Rougeau of IGN gave the film an 8.5/10, stating that it takes joy in expanding on the original's lore, and praised the film as a vast improvement of its predecessor in terms of action set pieces, fight choreography, cinematography, and writing. 35 Peter Travers of Rolling Stone called it the real deal and pure cinema. 36. Writing for Time magazine in February, Stephanie Zacharek stated, "The pleasures of John Wick, Chapter may second be even greater than those of its predecessor itself, a symphonic achievement in scrappy, balls out, action filmmaking, because in this one, there's no puppy murder to endure, it's lovers of humankind who are put to the test." John Wick, Chapter 2 asks the classic pulp question, are human beings worth saving, and delivers, with the right proportions of joy and sorrow, the classic pulp answer, sometimes, no. 37. Both Richard Brody writing for The New Yorker and Stephen M. Colbert writing for Screen Rant saw secret societies as a significant motif in the film. In his article The World of John Wick Explained, Colbert stated, John Wick introduced audiences to a dark, polished and sharply dressed, underground criminal society full of assassins who, mostly, abide by an unspoken code of conduct and 2 explicit rules. While the first movie told a more intimate story that only hinted at the larger world of this secret society, John Wick, Chapter 2 takes the titular character through several of the corners of this complex underworld, revealing even more about the world of John Wick. While very few of these customs are explicitly explained, there are still enough hints about the inner functionings of the various entities presented, giving us enough puzzle pieces to put together a loose sketch of this mysterious world of assassins. 38. Ignatiy Vishnevetsky of the AV Club wrote that it lacks the first film's domino effect momentum. In part, he praised the action scenes as entertainingly surreal. 39. In an opinion piece, Jordan Hoffman of The Guardian called the film a shameful example of Hollywood gun pornography with a hyperactive, blood-soaked, corpse-strewn video game aesthetic but only trace elements of a plot, and wondered where the line of decency is as audience bloodlust continues to get chummed. 40. Accolades. At the 2017 Golden Trailer Awards, John Wick, Chapter 2 received a nomination for Best Action with Vengeance, AV Squad, and won Best Action TV Spot for Big Vengeance, AV Squad. 41-42 Mark Stoeckinger, Alan Rankin, Andy Koyama, Martin Zub, and Gabe Serrano of Formosa Group was nominated for Outstanding Sound Feature Film at the 2017 Hollywood Post Alliance Awards. 43 The film received nominations for Empire Award for Best Thriller at the 23rd Empire Awards and Best Stunt Work at the Los Angeles Online Film Critics Society Awards 2017. 44 45 46. Sequel. Main article, John Wick, Chapter 3 Parabellum. In October 2016, Stahelski stated that a third film, titled John Wick, Chapter 3 Parabellum, was in the works. 47 And in June 2017 it was reported that Kalstad would return to write the screenplay with the completed film subsequently released in 2019. Keanu Charles Reeves, Keanu /Keanu 07 born September 2, 1964, is a Canadian C actor and musician. The recipient of numerous accolades in a career on screen spanning 4 decades, he is known for his leading roles in action films, his amiable public image, and his philanthropic efforts. In 2020, the New York Times ranked him as the 4th greatest actor of the 21st century, and in 2022 Time magazine named him one of the 100 most influential people in the world. Born in Beirut and raised in Toronto, Reeves made his acting debut in the Canadian television series Hanjin in 1984, before making his feature film debut in Young Blood, 1986. He had his breakthrough role in the science fiction comedies Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, 1989, and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, 1991. He gained praise for playing a hustler in the independent drama My Own Private Idaho, 1991, and established himself as an action hero with leading roles in Point Break, 1991, and Speed, 1994. Following several box office disappointments, Reeves's performance in the horror film The Devil's Advocate, 1997, was well received. Greater stardom came with his role as Neo in The Matrix, 1999. Reeves became the highest-paid actor for a single production for reprising the role in its 2003 sequels Reloaded and Revolutions. He also played John Constantine in Constantine, 2005. Reeves made his film directorial debut with Man of Tai Chi, 2013. Following a period in which he enjoyed limited commercial success, he made a career comeback by playing the titular assassin in the action film series John Wick, 2014-present. Reeves voiced Duke Kaboom in Toy Story 4, 2019, and portrayed Johnny Silverhand in the video game Cyberpunk 2077, 2020, as well as its expansion. He has since reprised his roles of Ted in Bill and Ted Face the Music, 2020, and Neo in The Matrix, Resurrections, 2021, and voiced Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, 2024. In addition to acting, Reeves is a member of the musical band Dogstar, releasing albums including Somewhere Between the Power Lines and Palm Trees, 2023. He is the co-writer and creator of the BRZRKR franchise, which started with the original comic book, 2021-2023, and since expanded to include numerous spin-offs, including the Book of Elsewhere. An avid motorcyclist, Reeves is the co-founder of the custom manufacturer Arch Motorcycle. He also co-founded the production company Company Films. Early life. Keanu Charles Reeves was born in Beirut, Lebanon, on September 2, 1964, the son of Patricia, née Taylor, a costume designer and performer, and Samuel Nowlin Reeves Jr. His mother is English, originating from Essex. 10. His American father is from Hawaii, and is of native Hawaiian, Chinese, English, and Portuguese descent. 11. 5. 12. Reeves's paternal grandmother is of Hawaiian and Chinese descent. 13. His mother was working in Beirut when she met his father. 14. Who abandoned his wife and family when Reeves was 3 years old. Reeves last met his father on the Hawaiian island of Kauai when he was 13. 15. After his parents divorced in 1966, his mother moved the family to Sydney, Australia 15-16 and then to New York City, where she married Paul Aaron, a Broadway and Hollywood director, in 1970. 15. The couple moved to Toronto and divorced in 1971. When Reeves was 9, he took part in a theater production of Damn Yankees. 17. Aaron remained close to Reeves, offering him advice and recommending him a job at the Hedgerow Theater in Pennsylvania. 15. Reeves's mother married Robert Miller, a rock music promoter, in 1976. The couple divorced in 1980. Reeves and his sisters grew up primarily in the Yorkville neighborhood of Toronto, with a nanny frequently caring for them. 15. 18. Reeves watched British comedy shows such as The Two Ronnies, and his mother imparted English manners that he has maintained into adulthood. 19. Because of his grandmother's Chinese ethnicity, Reeves grew up with Chinese art, furniture, and cuisine. 20. Describing himself as a private kid, 21. Reeves attended 4 different high schools, including the Etobicoke School of the Arts, from which he was expelled. Reeves said he was expelled because he was just a little too rambunctious and shot my mouth off once too often. I was not generally the most well-oiled machine in the school. 22. Reeves has dyslexia and has said, because I had trouble reading, I wasn't a good student. 23. At De La Salle College, he was a successful ice hockey goalkeeper. Reeves had aspirations to play for the Canadian Olympic team and was once considered an All prospect, but his hockey career ended due to injury. 24. At the age of 15, he decided he wanted to become an actor. 25. After leaving De La Salle College, he attended Avondale Secondary Alternative School, which allowed him to get an education while working as an actor. Reeves dropped out of high school when he was 17. 26. He obtained a green card through his American stepfather and moved to Los Angeles 3 years later. 15. Reeves holds only Canadian citizenship. 8-9. Career. Main article, Keanu Reeves filmography. 1984-1990, early work. Reeves in 1986. In 1984, Reeves was a correspondent for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, youth television program Going Great. 27. That same year, he made his acting debut in an episode of the television series, called Hanjin In. 28. In 1985, he played Mercutio in a stage production of Romeo and Juliet at the Leah Poslan's Theatre in North York, Ontario. 29-30. He made further appearances on stage, including Brad Fraser's cult hit Wolfboy in Toronto. He also appeared in a Coca-Cola commercial in 1983-31 and in the National Film Board of Canada, NFB, Coming of Age, short film One Step Away. 32. Reeves later said that, when he was looking for work in the mid-1980s, his agents advised him to go by a different name because his first name was too ethnic. He briefly initialized his first and middle name and attended auditions as KC or Casey Reeves before reverting to Keanu. 33. Reeves made a foray into television films in 1986, including NBC's Babes in Toyland, Act of Vengeance and Brotherhood of Justice. He made his first motion picture appearances in Peter Markle's Young Blood, 1986, in which he played a goalkeeper, and in the low-budget romantic drama, Flying. He was cast as Matt in River's Edge, a crime drama about a group of high school friends dealing with a murder case, loosely based on the 1981 murder of Marcy Renee Conrad. The film premiered in 1986 at the Toronto International Film Festival to a largely positive response. Janet Maslin of the New York Times describes the performances of the young cast as natural and credible, with Reeves being described as affecting and sympathetic. 34. Towards the end of the 1980s, Reeves starred in several dramas aimed at teen audiences, including as the lead in The Night Before, 1988, a comedy starring opposite Lori Loughlin, The Prince of Pennsylvania, 1988, and Permanent Record, 1988. Although the latter received mixed reviews, Variety magazine praised Reeves's performance, which opens up nicely as the drama progresses. 35 His other acting efforts included a supporting role in Dangerous Liaisons, 1988, which earned 7 nominations at the 61st Academy Awards, winning 3, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Costume Design, and Best Production Design. 36 This was followed by Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, 1989, in which he portrays a slacker who travels through time with a friend, portrayed by Alex Winter, to assemble historical figures for a school presentation. The film was generally well received by critics and grossed $40.5 million at the worldwide box office. 37 Film review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes gave the film a 79% approval rating with the critical consensus, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter are just charming, goofy, and silly enough to make this fluffy time travel adventure work. 38. In 1989, Reeves starred in the comedy drama Parenthood directed by Ron Howard. Nick Hilditch of the BBC gave the film 3 out of 5 stars, calling it a feel-good movie with an extensive and entertaining ensemble cast. 39 In 1990, Reeves gave 2 acting performances. He portrayed an incompetent hitman in the black comedy I Love You to Death, and played Martin, a radio station employee in the comedy Tune In Tomorrow. He also appeared in Paula Abdul's music video for Rush Rush, which featured a rebel without a cause motif, with him in the James Dean role. 40. 1991-1994, breakthrough with mature roles. In 1991, Reeves starred in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, a sequel to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, with his co-star Alex Winter. Michael Wilmington of the Los Angeles Times wrote that the sequel was more imaginative, more opulent, wilder, and freer, more excitingly visualized, praising the actors for their fuller performances. 41 Film critic Roger Ebert thought it was a riot of visual invention and weird humor that works on its chosen submoronic level. It's the kind of movie where you start out snickering in spite of yourself, and end up actually admiring the originality that went into creating this hallucinatory slapstick. 42 The rest of 1991 marked a significant transition for Reeves's career as he undertook adult roles. Co-starring with River Phoenix as a street hustler in the adventure My Own Private Idaho, the characters embark on a journey of personal discovery. The story was written by Gus Van Sant, and is loosely based on Shakespeare's Henry IV, Part 1, Henry IV, Part 2, and Henry V. The film premiered at the 48th Venice International Film Festival 43, followed by a theatrical release in the United States on September 29, 1991. The film earned $6.4 million at the box office. 44 My Own Private Idaho was positively received, with Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly describing the film as a postmodern road movie with a mood of free-floating, trance-like despair, a rich, audacious experience. 45 The New York Times complimented Reeves and Phoenix for their insightful performances. 46. Reeves starred alongside Patrick Swayze, Lori Petty, and Gary Busey in the action thriller Point Break, 1991, directed by Kathryn Bigelow. He plays an undercover FBI agent tasked with investigating the identities of a group of bank robbers. To prepare for the film, Reeves and his co-stars took surfing lessons with professional surfer Dennis Jarvis in Hawaii. Reeves had never surfed before. 47 Upon its release, Point Break was generally well received, and a commercial success, earning $83.5 million at the box office. 48 Reeves's performance was praised by the New York Times for considerable discipline and range, adding, "He moves easily between the buttoned-down demeanor that suits a police procedural story and the loose-jointed manner of his comic roles." 49 Writing for the Washington Post, Hal Hinson called Reeves the perfect choice and praised the surfing scenes, but opined that the filmmakers have their characters make the most ludicrously illogical choices imaginable. 50 At the 1992 MTV Movie Awards, Reeves won the Most Desirable Male Award. 51. In 1991, Reeves developed an interest in a music career. He formed an alternative rock band called Dogstar, consisting of members Robert Mailhouse, Greg Miller, and Brett Domrose. Reeves played the bass guitar. A year later, he played Jonathan Harker in Francis Ford Coppola's gothic horror Bram Stoker's Dracula, based on Stoker's 1897 novel Dracula. Starring alongside Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, and Anthony Hopkins, the film was critically and commercially successful. It grossed $215.8 million worldwide. 52. For his role, Reeves was required to speak with an English accent, which drew some ridicule. Overly posh and entirely ridiculous, Reeves's performance is as painful as it is hilarious, wrote Limara Salt of Virgin Media. 53. In a retrospective interview in 2015, director Coppola said, "Reeves tried so hard, he wanted to do it perfectly, and in trying to do it perfectly it came off as stilted." 54. Bram Stoker's Dracula was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, winning 3 in Best Costume Design, Best Sound Editing and Best Makeup. 55. The film also received 4 nominations at the British Academy Film Awards. 56. In 1993, he had a role in Much Ado About Nothing, based on Shakespeare's play of the same name. The film received positive reviews. 57. Although Reeves was nominated for a Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Supporting Actor. 58. The New Republic magazine thought his casting was unfortunate because of his amateur performance. 59. In that same year, he starred in 2 more drama films, Even Cowgirls Get the Blues and Little Buddha, both of which garnered a mixed to negative reception. 60-61. The Independent critic gave Little Buddha a mixed review but opined that Reeves's part as a prince was credible. 62. The film also left an impression on Reeves. He later said, "When I played this innocent prince who starts to suspect something when he has the first revelations about old age, sickness, and death, it hit me. That lesson has never left me." 63. He starred in the action thriller Speed, 1994, alongside Sandra Bullock and Dennis Hopper. He plays police officer Jack Traven, who must prevent a bus from exploding by keeping its speed above 50 miles per hour. Speed was the directorial debut of Dutch director Jan de Bont. Several actors were considered for the lead role, but Reeves was chosen because Bont was impressed with his point-break performance. 64. To look the part, Reeves shaved all his hair off and spent 2 months in the gym to gain muscle mass. During production, Reeves's friend River Phoenix, and CO star in My Own Private Idaho, died, resulting in adjustments to the filming schedule to allow him to mourn. 64. Speed was released on June 10 to a critically acclaimed response. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune lauded Reeves, calling him absolutely charismatic, giving a performance juiced with joy as he jumps through elevator shafts, and atop a subway train. 65. David Anson, writing for Newsweek, summarized Speed as, "relentless without being overbearing. This is one likely blockbuster that doesn't feel too big for its britches. It's a friendly juggernaut." 66. The film grossed $350 million from a $30 million budget and won 2 Academy Awards in 1995, Best Sound Editing and Best Sound. 67-68. 1995-1998, Career Fluctuations. I do love it, Shakespeare. It's like this kind of code that once you start to inhabit it with breath and sound and feeling and thought, it is the most powerful and consuming and freeing at the same time. Just, literally, elemental in sound, consonants and vowels. What I found out in doing it, Hamlet, was that it brought up for me all the anger that was inside me for my mother. I mean, it surprised me, just what was there, and I hadn't seen that before. Reeves on his Hamlet performance. 69. Reeves's next leading role came in the 1995 cyberpunk action thriller Johnny Mnemonic, directed by artist Robert Longo and based on the 1981 story of the same name by William Gibson. Set in 2021, it is about a man who has a cybernetic brain implant and must deliver a data package before he dies or is killed by the Yakuza. The film received mainly negative reviews and critics felt Reeves was woefully miscast. 70 Roger Ebert opined that the film is one of the great goofy gestures of recent cinema, a movie that doesn't deserve 1 nanosecond of serious analysis but has a kind of idiotic grandeur that makes you almost forgive it. 71 As part of the film studio's marketing efforts, a CD-ROM video game was also released. 72. He next appeared in the romantic drama A Walk in the Clouds, 1995, which also garnered mixed to negative reviews. 73 Reeves plays a young soldier returning home from World War II, trying to settle down with a woman he married impulsively just before he enlisted. Film critic Mick LaSalle opined that A Walk in the Clouds is for the most part a beautiful, well-acted, and emotionally rich picture, whereas Hal Hinson from the Washington Post said, the film has the syrupy, Kodak magic moment look of a Bo Derek movie, and pretty much the same level of substance. 74-75. Besides film work, Reeves retreated briefly to the theater playing Prince Hamlet in a 1995 Manitoba Theatre Center production of Hamlet Indiana Winnipeg, Manitoba. 76 The Sunday Times critic Roger Lewis believed his performance, writing he quite embodied the innocence, the splendid fury, the animal grace of the leaps and bounds, the emotional violence, that form the Prince of Denmark. He is one of the top 3 Hamlets I have seen, for a simple reason. He is Hamlet. 77. Reeves was soon drawn to science fiction roles, appearing in Chain Reaction, 1996, with CO stars Morgan Freeman, Rachel Weisz, Fred Ward, Kevin Dunn, and Brian Cox. He plays a researcher of a green energy project, who has to go on the run when he is framed for murder. Chain Reaction was not a critical success and gained mostly a negative reaction. Review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes gave it a rating of 16% and described it as a man-on-the-run thriller that mostly sticks to generic formula. 78 Reeves's film choices after Chain Reaction were also critical disappointments. He starred in the independent crime comedy Feeling Minnesota, 1996, with Vincent D'Onofrio and Cameron Diaz, which was described as shoddily assembled, and fundamentally miscast by Rotten Tomatoes. 79 In that year, he turned down an offer to star in Speed 2, Cruise Control, despite being offered a salary of $12 million. 80 According to Reeves, this decision caused 20th Century Fox to sever ties with him for a decade. 81. Instead, Reeves toured with his band Dogstar, and appeared in the drama The Last Time I Committed Suicide, 1997, based on a 1950 letter written by Neil Cassidy to Jack Kerouac. Reeves's performance gained mixed reviews. Paul Tatara of CNN called him void of talent. Here he is again, reciting his lines as if they're non-related words strung together as a memory exercise. 82 Whereas Empire magazine thought Reeves gives the nearest thing to a performance in his career as the enthusiastic feckless drunk. 83 He starred in the 1997 supernatural horror The Devil's Advocate alongside Al Pacino and Charlize Theron. Reeves agreed to a pay cut of several $1 million so that the film studio could afford to hire Pacino. 84 Based on Andrew Needorman's novel of the same name, the feature is about a successful young lawyer invited to New York City to work for a major firm, who discovers the owner of the firm is a devil. The Devil's Advocate attracted positive reviews from critics. 85 Film critic James Berardinelli called the film highly enjoyable and wrote, "There are times when Reeves lacks the subtlety that would have made this a more multi-layered portrayal, but it's nevertheless a solid job." 86. 1999-2004, resurgence with the Matrix franchise and comedies. Reeves promoting The Day the Earth Stood Still in Mexico, 2008. Reeves promoting The Day the Earth Stood Still in Mexico, 2008. In 1999, Reeves starred in the critically acclaimed science fiction film The Matrix, the first installment in what would become the Matrix franchise. 87 Reeves portrays computer programmer Thomas Anderson, a hacker using the alias Neo, who discovers humanity is trapped inside a simulated reality created by intelligent machines. To prepare for the film, which was written and directed by the Wachowskis, Reeves had read Kevin Kelly's Out of Control, The New Biology of Machines, Social Systems, and the Economic World, and Dylan Evans's ideas on evolutionary psychology. The principal cast underwent months of intense training with martial arts choreographer Yun Wu-ping to prepare for the fight scenes. 88 The Matrix proved to be a box office success. Several critics considered it to be one of the best science fiction films of all time. 89-90 Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times felt it was a wildly cinematic futuristic thriller that is determined to overpower the imagination, despite perceiving weaknesses in the film's dialogue. 91 Janet Maslin of the New York Times credited Reeves for being a strikingly chic Prada model of an action hero, and thought the martial arts stunts were the film's strongest feature. 92 The Matrix received Academy Awards for Best Film Editing, Best Sound Editing, Best Visual Effects, and Best Sound. 93 After the success of The Matrix, Reeves avoided another blockbuster in favor of a light-hearted sports comedy, The Replacements, 2000. He agreed to a pay cut to enable Gene Hackman to co-star in the film. 84 Against his wishes, Reeves starred in the thriller The Watcher, 2000, playing a serial killer who stalks a retired FBI agent. He said that a friend forged his signature on a contract, which he could not prove. He appeared in the film to avoid legal action. 94 Upon its release, the film was critically panned. 95 That year, he had a supporting role in another thriller, Sam Raimi's The Gift, a story about a woman, played by Cate Blanchett, with extrasensory perception asked to help find a young woman who disappeared. The film grossed $44 million worldwide. 96 Film critic Paul Clinton of CNN thought the film was fairly compelling, saying of Reeves's acting, Raimi managed to get a performance out of Reeves that only occasionally sounds like he's reading his lines from the back of a cereal box. 97 In 2001, Reeves continued to explore and accept roles in a diverse range of genres. The first was a romantic drama, Sweet November, a remake of the 1968 film of the same name. This was his second collaboration with Charlize Theron. The film was met with a generally negative reception. 98 Desson Thompson of The Washington Post criticized it for its syrupy clichés, greeting card wisdom, and over-the-top tragicomedy, but commended Reeves for his likability factor in every performance he gives. 99 Hardball, 2001, marked Reeves's attempt in another sports comedy. Directed by Brian Robbins, it is based on the book Hardball, A Season in the Projects by Daniel Coyle. Reeves plays Connor O'Neill, a troubled young man who agrees to coach a little league team from the Cabrini Green housing project in Chicago as a condition of obtaining a loan. Film critic Roger Ebert noted the film's desire to tackle difficult subjects in baseball coaching, but felt it lacked depth, and Reeves's performance was glum and distant. 100 By 2002, his professional music career had come to an end when Dogstar disbanded. The band had released 2 albums during their decade together, Our Little Visionary in 1996 and Happy Ending in 2000. 101 Sometime afterwards, Reeves performed in the band Becky for a year, founded by Dogstar bandmate Rob Mailhouse, but quit in 2005, citing a lack of interest in a serious music career. 102-103 After being absent from the screen in 2002, Reeves returned to the Matrix sequels in 2003 with The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions, released in May and November, respectively. Principal photography for both films was completed back-to-back, primarily at Fox Studios in Australia. 104 The Matrix Reloaded garnered mostly favorable reviews. John Powers of LA Weekly praised the dazzling pyrotechnics but was critical of certain machine-like action scenes. Of Reeves's acting, Powers thought it was somewhat wooden but felt he has the ability to exude a charmed aura. 105 Andrew Walker, writing for the Evening Standard, praised the cinematography. Visually it gives full value as a virtuoso workout for your senses, but he was less taken by the film's dime store philosophy. 106 The film grossed $739 million worldwide. 107 The Matrix Revolutions, the third installment, was met with mixed reception. According to review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the consensus was that characters and ideas take a backseat to the special effects. 108 Paul Clinton, writing for CNN, praised the special effects but felt Reeves's character was unfocused. 109 In contrast, the San Francisco Chronicle's Carla Meyer was highly critical of the special effects, writing, "The Wachowskis' computer-generated imagery goes from dazzling to deadening in action scenes that favor heavy, clanking weaponry over the martial arts moves that thrilled viewers of The Matrix and The Matrix Reloaded." 110 Nevertheless, the film grossed a healthy $427 million worldwide, although less than the two previous films. 111 Something's Gotta Give, a romantic comedy, was Reeves's last release of 2003. He co-starred with Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton, and played Dr. Julian Mercer in the film. Something's Gotta Give received generally favorable reviews. 112. 2005-2013, thrillers, documentaries, and directorial debut. Reeves, dressed in a grey suit, waving to the crowd at the Berlin Film Festival, February 2009. Reeves at the Berlin International Film Festival in 2009. In 2005, Reeves played the title role in Constantine, an occult detective film, about a man who has the ability to perceive and communicate with half angels and half demons. The film was a respectable box office hit, grossing $230 million worldwide from a $100 million budget but attracted mixed to positive reviews. 113 The Sydney Morning Herald's critic wrote that Constantine isn't bad, but it doesn't deserve any imposing adjectives. It's occasionally cheesy, sometimes enjoyable, intermittently scary, and constantly spiked with celestial blatherskite. 114 He next appeared in Thumbsucker, which premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in 2005. 115 A comedy adapted from the 1999 Walter Kern novel of the same name, the story follows a boy with a thumb-sucking problem. Reeves and the cast garnered positive critical reviews, with the Washington Post describing it as a gently stirring symphony about emotional transition filled with lovely musical passages and softly nuanced performances. 116. Reeves appeared in the Richard Linklater-directed animated science fiction thriller A Scanner Darkly, which premiered at the 2006 Cannes Film Festival. 117 Reeves played Bob Arctor/Fred, an undercover agent in a futuristic dystopia under high-tech police surveillance. Based on the novel of the same name by Philip K. Dick, the film was a box office failure. 118 However, the film attracted generally favorable reviews. Paul Arendt of the BBC thought the film was beautiful to watch, but Reeves was outshone by his co-star Robert Downey Jr. 119-120 His next role was Alex Weiler in The Lake House, 2006, a romantic drama adaptation of the South Korean film Il Mare, 2000, which reunited him with Sandra Bullock. Despite its box office success, 121 Mark Kermode of The Guardian was highly critical, writing this syrup-drenched supernatural whimsy achieves stupidity at a genuinely international level. The last time Bullock and Reeves were together on screen the result was Speed. This should have been entitled Stop. 122 Towards the end of 2006, he co-narrated The Great Warming with Alanis Morissette, a documentary about climate change mitigation. 123. Next in 2008, Reeves collaborated with director David Ayer on the crime thriller Street Kings. He played an undercover policeman who must clear his name after the death of another officer. Released on April 11, the film grossed a moderate $66 million worldwide. 124 The film's plot and Reeves' performance, however, were met with mostly unenthusiastic reviews. Paul Burns of the Sydney Morning Herald stated, "It's full of twists and turns, a dead body in every reel, but it's not difficult to work out who's betraying whom, and that's just not good enough." 125 The Guardian opined that Reeves is fundamentally blank and uninteresting. 126 Reeves starred in another science fiction film, The Day the Earth Stood Still, a loose adaptation of the 1951 film of the same name. He portrayed Claytu, an alien sent from outer space to try to change human behavior or eradicate humans because of their environmental impact. At the 2009 Razzie Awards, the film was nominated for Worst Prequel, Remake, Ripoff or Sequel. 127 Many critics were unimpressed with the heavy use of special effects. The Telegraph credited Reeves' ability to engage the audience, but thought the cinematography was abysmal and the Sub-Al Gore environment lecture leaves you lightheaded with tedium. 128-129. Reeves and Tiger Chen, 2013. Tiger Chen and Reeves at the 2013 Fantastic Fest. Rebecca Miller's The Private Lives of Pippa Lee was Reeves' sole release of 2009, which premiered at the 59th Berlin International Film Festival. 130 The romantic comedy and its ensemble received an amicable review from The Telegraph's David Gridden. Miller's film is a triumph. Uniformly well acted, it boasts a psychologically knowing script, clearly written by a smart, assertive human. 131 In 2010, he starred in another romantic comedy, Henry's Crime, about a man who is released from prison for a crime he did not commit, but then targets the same bank with his former cellmate. The film was not a box office hit. 132 Reeves' only work in 2011 was an adult picture book titled Ode to Happiness, which he wrote, complemented by Alexandra Grant's illustrations. 133-134 Reeves co produced and appeared in a 2012 documentary, Side by Side. He interviewed filmmakers including James Cameron, Martin Scorsese, and Christopher Nolan. The feature investigated digital and photochemical film creation. 135 Next, Reeves starred in Generation 2012, an independent drama which was critically panned. 136. In 2013, Reeves starred in his own directorial debut, the martial arts film Man of Tai Chi. The film has multilingual dialogue and follows a young man drawn to an underground fight club, partially inspired by the life of Reeves' friend Tiger Chen. Principal photography took place in China and in Hong Kong. Reeves was also assisted by Yuen Wu-ping, the fight choreographer of the Matrix films. 137 Man of Tai Chi premiered at the Beijing Film Festival and the Cannes Film Festival 138-139 and received praise from director John Woo. 140 A wider, warm response followed suit. Bill Jabari of Vulture thought the fight sequences were beautifully assembled, and Reeves showed restraint with the film editing to present the fighters' motion sequences. 141 The Los Angeles Times wrote, the brutally efficient shooting style Reeves employs to film master choreographer Yuen Wu-ping's breathtaking fights, is refreshingly grounded and old-school kinetic. 142 While Dave McGinn of the Globe and Mail called the film ambitious but generic. 143 At the box office, Man of Tai Chi was a commercial disappointment, grossing only $5.5 million worldwide from a budget of $25 million. 144-145 Also in 2013, Reeves played Kai in the 3D fantasy 47 Ronin, a Japanese fable about a group of rogue samurai. The film premiered in Japan but failed to gain traction with audiences. Reviews were not positive, causing Universal Pictures to reduce advertising for the film elsewhere. 47 Ronin was a box office flop and was mostly poorly received. 146. 2014-2022, Resurgence with John Wick. After another series of commercial failures, Reeves made a career comeback in 2014, playing the title role in the action thriller John Wick, directed by Chad Stahelski. In the first installment of the John Wick franchise, Reeves plays a retired hitman seeking vengeance. He worked closely with the screenwriter to develop the story. We all agreed on the potential of the project. I love the role, but you want the whole story, the whole ensemble to come to life, Reeves said. 147 Filmed on location in the New York City area, the film was eventually released on October 24 in the United States. 148 The Hollywood Reporter was impressed by the director's confident, muscular action debut, and Reeves' effortless performance, which marked his return to the action genre. 149 Jeanette Katsolis of the New York Times praised Reeves' fight scenes and wrote he is always more comfortable in roles that demand cool over hot, attitude over emotion. 150 John Wick proved to be a box office success, grossing $86 million worldwide. 151 Next, Reeves starred in a smaller-scale horror feature, Knock Knock, 2015, a remake of Death Game, 1977, filmed 1974. Described as over-the-top destruction by the Toronto Star, Reeves plays a father, home alone, when two young women show up and start a game of cat and mouse. 152 His other releases in 2015 were the documentaries Deep Web, about crime on the dark web, and Mifune, The Last Samurai, about the life of a Japanese actor, Toshiro Mifune, famous for playing samurai characters. He narrated both films. 154 Reeves appeared in 5 film releases in 2016. The first was Exposed, a crime thriller about a detective who investigates his partner's death and discovers police corruption along the way. The film received negative reviews for its confused plot, and Reeves was criticized for displaying limited facial expressions. 156 His next release, the comedy Keanu, was better received. 157 In it he voiced the eponymous kitten. Reeves then had a minor role in The Neon Demon, a psychological horror directed by Nicholas Winding Refn. He played Hank, a lustful motel owner who appears in Jesse's, played by Elle Fanning, Nightmare. 158 In his fourth release, he played a charismatic leader of a settlement in The Bad Batch. 159 His final release of the year was The Whole Truth, featuring Gabriel Basso, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Renee Zellweger, and Jim Belushi. He played Richard, a defense attorney. Noel Murray of the AV Club described it as moderately clever, reasonably entertaining courtroom drama, with a skilled cast but overall a mundane film. 160 Reeves also appeared in Swedish Dicks, a 2-season web television series. 161 In 2017, Reeves agreed to reprise his role for a sequel in the John Wick franchise, John Wick, Chapter 2. The story carries on from the first film and follows John Wick as he goes on the run when a bounty is placed on him. The film was a critical and commercial success, grossing $171.5 million worldwide, more than its predecessor. 162 Chris Hewitt of Empire magazine praised Reeves' performance, which complemented his previous action roles, Point Break and Speed. 163 However, Justin Chong of the Los Angeles Times described the picture as a down and dirty B picture with a lustrous A picture soul. 164 Besides this large-scale feature, Reeves starred in a drama, To the Bone, in which he plays a doctor helping a young woman with anorexia. It premiered at the 2017 Sundance Film Festival, followed by distribution on Netflix in July. 166 Early reviews were positive, with praise for its non-glamorized portrayal of anorexia, although the New Statesman magazine thought it was irresponsible. 167 That year, Reeves also made cameo appearances in the films A Happening of Monumental Proportions and SPF 18. 169 Reeves reunited with Winona Ryder in the 2018 comedy Destination Wedding, about wedding guests who develop a mutual affection for each other. They had worked together previously in Bram Stoker's Dracula, A Scanner Darkly and The Private Lives of Pippa Lee. Reeves also co-produced and starred in 2 thrillers. Siberia, in which he plays a diamond trader who travels to Siberia to search for his Russian partner, and Replicas, which tells the story of a neuroscientist who violates laws and bioethics to bring his family back to life after they die in a car crash. Siberia was critically panned. Reviewers thought the plot was nonsensical and Reeves had little chemistry with CO star Anna Olaru. 171 Replicas did not fare well with critics either. The AV Club praised Reeves' performance, but gave the film a grade D, adding it is garbage. 172 It was also a box office failure, earning $9.3 million from a budget of $30 million. 172-173. Reeves in 2019. Returning to the John Wick franchise, Reeves starred in John Wick, Chapter 3 Parabellum, 2019, the third feature in the series directed by Stahelski. The film takes place immediately after the events of John Wick, Chapter 2 and features new cast members including Halle Berry. The film was another box office hit, grossing $171 million in the United States and more than $155 million internationally. 174. The Globe and Mail's reviewer gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, praising the fight scenes, but felt there was aesthetic overindulgence with the cinematography. 175. The Guardian's Kath Clark questioned Reeves' acting. She wrote that he keeps his face statue still. 3 movies in, franchise bloat is beginning to set in. 176. Reeves was nominated for Favorite Male Movie Star of 2019 in the People's Choice Awards, and the film itself was nominated for Best Contemporary Film in the Art Directors Guild Awards. 177. 178. Reeves then voiced Duke Kaboom in 2019's Toy Story 4, the 4th installment of Pixar's Toy Story franchise. 179. In that same year on April 27 and 28, a film festival was held in his honor, called Keanu hosted in Glasgow, Scotland. 180. Over 2 days, 9 of his films were screened for guests. 181. Also in 2019, Reeves played a supporting role as himself in the Ali Wong-led romantic comedy Always Be My Maybe. 182. In 2019, Reeves traveled to Sao Paulo to produce a Netflix series, Conquest. 183. 184. Footage shot for the project would remain in development hell for years due to creator Carl Rinsch's erratic behavior and mental health state, which caused him to miss several deadlines and enter litigation with Netflix over the rights to the series. 185. As early as 2008, Reeves and Alex Winter had shown enthusiasm for a third Bill and Ted film, but the project went into development limbo. 186. Finally in 2020, Bill and Ted Face the Music, the third film in the franchise, was released. 187. 188. The critic from Salon magazine was disappointed in Reeves' performance, but praised the film for its message that music has the power to unite the world. 189. Leah Greenblatt of Entertainment Weekly gave the film a grade B, and complimented the on-screen chemistry between Reeves and Winter. 190. He also appeared in the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run, as a tumbleweed named Sage. 191. Reeves appears as Johnny Silverhand in the video game Cyberpunk 2077. 192. 193. In December 2021, Reeves returned to the screen for the 4th film in the Matrix franchise, The Matrix Resurrections. Carrie-Anne Moss also reprised her role as Trinity. 194. 195. The Matrix Resurrections was a box office disappointment. 196. One critic praised Reeves and Moss' performances, but thought the film was a no-game changer. 197. 2023 present, post John Wick. Lionsgate's John Wick, Chapter 4 premiered on March 24, 2023, Reeves reprised his role as the title character. 198. It received critical acclaim. Several reviewers cited the film among the greatest action films ever made. 199. 200. 201. He also reprised his role as Johnny Silverhand in the Cyberpunk 2077 expansion, Phantom Liberty. 202. A comic book series, BRZRKR, CO written by Reeves, was published in 3 volumes starting in March 2021 and concluding in October 2023. 203. Issue number 1 sold over 615,000 copies, making it the top-selling single issue since Star Wars number 1 in 2015. 204. 205. Reeves performing with Dogstar in 2024. After occasionally meeting up for jam sessions in the years following their dissolution, Dogstar began recording new material during the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, which turned into a finished album, Somewhere Between the Power Lines and Palm Trees, 2023. 206 Following their first performance in 20 years at Bottle Rock Napa Valley Music Festival, 207 Reeves and the band embarked on a 25-date tour in North America and Japan in support of the album, beginning August 10 in Hermosa Beach, California. 208, 209, 210 In July, Boom Studios published the first issue of BRZRKR, Bloodlines, titled Poetry of Madness. 211 Reeves appeared as the featured guest for the Season 6 premiere episode of Ride with Norman Reedus, 2023, titled The Utah Desert with Keanu Reeves. 212 Cinema Blends Nick Venable said, "The installment makes for some truly heartwarming viewing for anyone who needs something to smile about." 213 In November of that year, he appeared as the host for and executive produced the 4-part documentary series Brawn, The Impossible Formula One story for Hulu and Disney+. 214 Jack Seal of The Guardian felt that Reeves was there to humanize the story, and pointed out his numerous adorable habits that most interviewers would deem unprofessional, but which don't offend. He felt that much of the emotion in the series owed to the way he gets his interviewees to open up. He often asks an emotion-based question: how did someone feel about what they did, rather than just what did they do. 215 At the end of that month, Boom Studios published the second comic in the BRZRKR, Bloodlines series, entitled Fallen Empire. 216 By the end of May 2024, Netflix won litigation over the rights to the Reeves-produced Conquest series, with the footage reverting to their ownership alongside being reimbursed for $8.78 million worth of creator Carl Eric Rinsch's misused production money. 217 That June, Reeves and Dogstar announced their summer vacation tour, with shows scheduled from August to September in the US and Canada. 218 On July 23, 2024, Reeves published a novel, The Book of Elsewhere, CO written with China Mieville, a telling of the story of BRZRKR. 219 220 The first issue of the second volume of the Bloodlines series, A Faceful of Bullets, written with Jason Aaron and art by Francesco Manna, was released the following day after a delay from June. 221 222 Another BRZRKR Bloodlines spin-off, titled The Lost Book of B, released on August 21, 2024. 223 He joined Graham Hancock in the second season of the series Ancient Apocalypse on Netflix, where he discussed his insights into storytelling as an act of preserving culture. 224 Reeves starred in the Armored Core episode of the animated anthology series Secret Level. 225 In April 2024, Reeves was cast as the voice of Shadow the Hedgehog in the third installment of the Sonic the Hedgehog film series, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which released on December 20, 2024. He also voiced the character in a DLC for the video game Shadow Generations, 2024, developed as a tie-in for the aforementioned film. 226 227 In January 2025, Reeves had an uncredited role voicing a stop-motion Lumen building in the second season of the television series Severance. 228 In June 2025, Reeves reprised his role as John Wick in the series spin-off film Ballerina, starring Ana de Armas. 229 230 Upcoming projects. Reeves will star alongside Seth Rogen and Aziz Ansari in the latter's directorial debut, Good Fortune. 231 He will then star in Jonah Hill's upcoming black comedy film Outcome on Apple TV+. 232 233 Reeves is set to star in Ruben Östlund's satire film The Entertainment System is Down. 234 Reeves will CO produce a documentary film about the life of Benny Urquidez, set for release in 2025. 235 Reeves will make his Broadway debut in the fall of 2025, in a production of Waiting for Godot directed by Jamie Lloyd. 236 A film adaptation of BRZRKR written by Mattson Tomlin and produced by and starring Reeves is being developed for Netflix, with Reeves open to the possibility of directing. 238 After the release of the film, a 2-season anime series also planned for release on Netflix and produced by Production IG is planned to follow. 239 A fifth sequel to John Wick was planned by distributor Lionsgate. 241 But franchise director Chad Stahelski had said he would like to give the franchise a rest for the time being. 242 Besides plans for a fifth film, a sequel television series titled John Wick, Under the High Table is being developed with Reeves attached as an executive producer. 243 Personal life. Alexandra Grant in May 2014. In 1998, Reeves met director David Lynch's assistant Jennifer Syme at a party thrown for his band Dogstar, and they started dating. 244 On December 24, 1999, Syme gave birth 8 months into her pregnancy to the couple's child, who was stillborn. The couple broke up several weeks afterward, but later reconciled. 245 On April 2, 2001, Syme was killed when her vehicle collided with 3 parked cars on Cahuenga Boulevard in Los Angeles. Syme had been under the influence and also not belted in. 247 Reeves told investigators that they were back together. 245 And had brunch together in San Francisco the day before the accident. 246 Reeves acted as a pallbearer for Syme. 246 Who was buried next to their daughter. 248 He was scheduled to film the sequels to The Matrix the following spring, but sought peace and time, according to friend Brett Domrose of Dogstar. 246 Reeves has also been romantically linked to longtime friend and filmmaker Brenda Davis, to whose child he is godfather. 249 250 251 And model actress China Chow. 252 253 Reeves also maintains a close friendship with his Bram Stoker's Dracula CO star Winona Ryder. After taking part in a wedding scene with a Romanian priest for the film, they still call each other husband and wife when speaking personally. 254 In 2009, Reeves met Alexandra Grant at a dinner party. They went on to collaborate on 2 books together. 255 256 They went public with their relationship in November 2019. 257 Reeves is discreet about his spiritual beliefs, saying that it is something personal and private. 258 When asked if he was a spiritual person, he said that he believes in God, faith, inner faith, the self, passion, and things, and that he is very spiritual. 259 Although he does not formally practice Buddhism, the religion has left a strong impression on him, especially after filming Little Buddha. 63 He said, "Most of the things I've come away with from Buddhism have been human understanding feelings, impermanence, and trying to understand other people and where they're coming from." 63 In 2023, the lipopeptide kinemycin, a substance deadly to fungi, was named in honor of Reeves. 260 In 2024, Reeves spoke on his thoughts about mortality, saying, "I'm thinking about death all the time. That's a good thing. Hopefully it's not crippling, but hopefully it's sensitized us to an appreciation of the breath we have, and the relationships that we have the potential to have." 261 On October 5, Reeves made his motorsport debut in the Toyota GR Cup North America, where he finished in 25th on Race 1 and 24th on Race 2 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 262 263 Business and Philanthropy. Mural of Reeves in Santiago de Chile. Reeves supports several charities and causes. In response to his sister's battle with leukemia, he founded a private cancer foundation, which aids children's hospitals and provides cancer research. 264 265 In June 2020, he volunteered for Camp Rainbow Gold, an Idaho children's cancer charity. 266 Reeves was also recognized as one of the 100 influential celebrities in oncology by OncoDaily. 267 Reeves has said, "Money is the last thing I think about. I could live on what I have already made for the next few centuries." 268. It was rumored that Reeves gave away a substantial portion, estimated to be $125 million, of his earnings from The Matrix to the special effects and makeup crews. However, this has been significantly embellished. Reeves negotiated a smaller deal, relinquishing his contractual right to a percentage of the sequel's profits in exchange for a more extensive special effects budget. 269-270. During production on that film, Reeves heard that a crew member was having family trouble, and elected to gift the man $20,000 to help him with his finances. 271. As a wrap gift for the 12-person stunt team of The Matrix Reloaded, 2003, Reeves purchased Harley-Davidson motorcycles for each of the members, saying of the gifts, "I just wanted to give a bigger thank you to all these guys who helped me make this." 272-273. After filming John Wick, Chapter 4, Reeves, Chad Stahelski and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor Dave Camarillo signed an exclusive training uniform that was put up for auction in March 2023 to raise money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. 274. Reeves also presented his personal stunt team for the film with engraved custom Rolex Submariner watches, and bought the larger Chapter 4 stunt crews each personalized t-shirts indicating how many times that the various extras they portrayed died in the film. 272-273. In 2024, Reeves signed a one-day contract with the Windsor Spitfires, and signed items which were auctioned off in benefit of the Canadian Mental Health Association of Windsor, Essex. 275. Reeves CO founded a production company, Company Films, with friend Stephen Hamill. 276. In 2011, Reeves, an avid motorcyclist, CO founded Arch Motorcycle Company, which builds and sells custom motorcycles, with Gard Hollinger. 277-278. In 2017, Reeves, Jessica Fleischman, and Alexandra Grant founded book publisher, X Artists Books, also known as XAB. 279-255. He has written 2 books with Grant, Ode to Happiness and Shadows. He provided the text to her photographs and art. 280. Censorship. In 2022, Reeves's recitation of the beat poem Pull My Daisy for a virtual benefit concert for Tibet House US, a non-profit organization affiliated with the exiled Tibetan spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, stirred a negative reaction from jingoistic crowds on Chinese social media. 281, 282, 283. Reeves's films have subsequently been banned from streaming platforms in China such as iQIYI, Tencent Video, and Youku. 284, 285. In the media. Reeves star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Reeves star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In a 2005 article for Time magazine, Lev Grossman called Reeves Hollywood's ultimate introvert. 286. He has been described as a workaholic, charming and excruciatingly shy. During the production of Constantine, director Francis Lawrence commented on his personality, calling him hardworking and generous. His CO star Shia LaBeouf said, "I've worked with him for a year and a couple of months, but I don't really know him that much." 286. Erwin Stoff of 3 Arts Entertainment has served as Reeves's agent and manager since he was 16, and produced many of his films. Stoff said Reeves is a really private person and keeps his distance from other people. 286, 287. In 2023, Reeves's frequent collaborator Lawrence Fishburne remarked on him, "He's kinder, yet he's much kinder than people say he is. He's a very gentle, highly intelligent man. Really thoughtful and gifted and incredibly patient. Yet, he has a lot of grace." Keanu. 288. Aziz Ansari, who directed and starred with Reeves in Good Fortune, joked that he actually is an angel, and that he's been pretending to be human for all these other roles. 289. In a 2024 interview with People magazine, Hiroyuki Sanada said, "He is so humble, very kind to others but very hard on himself. He's always trying to do his best, aim higher, move forward." 290. In 2010, an image of Reeves became an internet meme after photographs of him were published, sitting on a park bench with a sad facial expression. The images were posted on the 4chan discussion board and were soon distributed via several blogs and media outlets, leading to the sad Keanu meme being spread on the internet. An unofficial holiday was created when a Facebook fan page declared June 15 as Cheer Up Keanu Day. 256-291. He would later downplay the photo, saying, "Man, I was eating a sandwich. I was thinking I had some stuff going on. I was hungry." 292. Reeves's casual persona and ability to establish rapport have been observed by the public, leading him to be dubbed the internet's boyfriend. 293, 294, 295. In 2019, Vox cited Reeves's unorthodox filmography and ability to appeal to nerd culture as the primary reasons for his internet popularity. 296. Screen Rant assessed that Reeves is commonly considered one of the kindest, most thoughtful actors in Hollywood. 272. The Guardian noted that he holds a reputation as one of the nicest, humblest guys on the Hollywood A-list. 220. And the BBC wrote that he is known for his gentle, mild-mannered persona, and is often described as the nicest man in Hollywood. 297. Time dubbed Reeves as the master of the fan encounter. 298. And Snopes observed that he is so beloved that he's a cultural fixture. 299. In March 2019, Reeves went viral after his United Airlines flight to Burbank, California was grounded in Bakersfield. Taking initiative in arranging alternate travel plans, Reeves boarded a travel van with the other passengers. Reeves read fun facts from his phone about Bakersfield to the passengers, and later used YouTube to play them 1950s American country music that was native to the town. 300. Time said of the events, "One thing's for certain after this eventful trip, if you're looking for a road trip buddy, Keanu Reeves should be on the top of your list." 301. Reeves again gained media attention in May when a clip of his guest episode on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert went viral online. Colbert asked at the end of the show about his views on death, then Reeves answered, "I know that the ones who love us will miss us." The response incited an emotional reaction from the audience, and Colbert shook Reeves's hand before wrapping up the show. 302. Vice's River Donaghy declared that Keanu is my new religion in response to the clip, and called the moment transcendent. 303. The New Yorker called it a response so wise, so genuinely thoughtful, that it seemed like a rebuke to the usual canned blather of late-night television. Staff writer Naomi Fry recounted that she felt like she was standing alone in a rock garden, having a koan whispered into her ear after watching the viral clip on Twitter. 304. The interaction would later inspire science communicator Hank Green to end his Pissing Out Cancer comedy special, based on his experiences fighting Hodgkin's lymphoma, with the quote inspired by Reeves's answer, "Either way, what comes next is going to be beautiful." In choosing the ending, he felt that Reeves's words reflected a larger understanding of the human experience. 305. While filming Bill and Ted Face the Music in July 2019, Reeves and other cast members came across a house with a banner reading "You're breathtaking" and "Mini Keanu," two memes that had come out of Reeves's appearance at the Electronic Entertainment Expo 2019 for the game Cyberpunk 2077. Reeves took time to sign the banner, and talk to the family. 306. Business Insider reported that the actor's fans were quick to praise him in response to the incident, calling him "Good Guy Keanu" and lauding him as the best human on the planet. 307. In August 2022, Reeves went viral for attending a fan's wedding in Northamptonshire, United Kingdom. James and Nikki Road Knight saw Reeves at a bar at Fossley Hall Hotel shortly before their marriage ceremony and started to chat with him, with Reeves congratulating the couple on their marriage. Later, after James had secretly asked Reeves to meet Nikki during the wedding, he turned up during the ceremony. 308. Nikki described Reeves as a genuinely kind guy and relaxed and down-to-earth during the wedding, and he participated in a photo shoot with the family. 309 Another interaction between Reeves at an October 2023 Dogstar concert in Houston gained media attention. A young fan named Elijah approached Reeves before they started their show, asking if Reeves would play catch with him. Reeves obliged, with a game ensuing between the two. Calling the game the top moment of his life, the boy stated his intent to keep the football forever and ever. 310-311 Oliver Browning of The Independent called the interaction a wholesome moment for Reeves. 312. Reeves appeared on Forbes' annual Celebrity 100 list in 2001 and 2002, at number 36 and 49, respectively. 313-314 In 2005, Reeves received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame for his contributions to the motion picture industry. 315 In 2016, The Hollywood Reporter calculated that Reeves had earned $250 million for the Matrix franchise, making him one of the highest-paid actors. 316 In 2020, The New York Times ranked him at number 4 on its list of the 25 greatest actors of the 21st century. 317. A popular meme asserts that Reeves is secretly immortal and has lived throughout the last millennia under the identities of several historical figures, including Charlemagne and French actor Paul Mounet. 318 The meme came to media prominence in 2017 when Reeves was asked by Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show about it. Reeves addressed his resemblance with Charlemagne, saying, "We have a likeness in the eyes, and the nose and the mustache and the beard and the cheekbones and the forehead." 319-320 When asked in a Q&A event for John Wick, Chapter 4 if he ever ages, Reeves responded, "Yeah man, I age. I age. It's happening, man." 321 In 2023, a website dedicated to chronicling every time Reeves has spoken the word "whoa" in his film career was created by web developer Avi Mamenko to honor him. 322 In 2022, Time magazine named him one of the 100 most influential people in the world. 323. Filmography and awards. Main articles: Keanu Reeves' filmography and awards and nominations. Reeves, right, receiving the Inkpot Award in 2024. Prolific in film since 1985, Reeves' most acclaimed and highest-grossing films, according to the review aggregate site Rotten Tomatoes, include River's Edge, 1987, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, 1989, My Own Private Idaho, 1991, Much Ado About Nothing, 1993, Speed, 1994, The Matrix, 1999, John Wick, 2014, John Wick, Chapter 2, 2017, John Wick, Chapter 3 Parabellum, 2019, and Toy Story 4, 2019. 324 Reeves has won 4 MTV Movie Awards, 51 325 326 and received 2 Best Actor nominations at the Saturn Awards. 327 He was nominated twice for a People's Choice Award, Favorite Male Movie Star and Favorite Action Movie Star, for his performance in John Wick, Chapter 3 Parabellum, 2019. 328. In November 2015, People retroactively named him 1994's Sexiest Man Alive. 329 In September 2021, Taekwondo Life magazine deemed Reeves the #1 martial arts movie star in the world based upon his multiple films in the genre, their popularity, and sheer box office gross. 330 In 2024, Gold House honored him on its Most Impactful Asians A100 list 331 and he was presented with the Inkpot Award for lifetime contributions to movies, TV, comics, and books at San Diego Comic-Con. Riccardo Dario Scamarcio, Italian pronunciation, Riccardo Scamarcio, born November 13, 1979, is an Italian actor and film producer. Early life. Scamarcio was born in Trani, Apulia, the son of Irene Petrofisa, a painter, and Emilio Scamarcio. 1. He went to train as an actor at the Scuola Nazionale di Cinema in Rome. where he now lives. Career. His debut acting role was in a TV series in 2000, while his first ever lead role in a feature film was in 3 Steps Over Heaven, 2004, directed by Luca Lucini. Through this he immediately became well known to the Italian-speaking public, especially a young audience. His success brought him prominence as a sex symbol and boosted requests for his acting skills, leading to his role in Texas, 2005, directed by Fausto Paravidano, and soon to him joining the cast of Romanzo Criminale, playing a monosyllabic, enigmatic thug character in a powerful portrait of a mafiosi community directed by Michele Placido. 2. In 2006 he acted in The Black Arrow, a TV series broadcast by Canale 5, adapted from the novel by Robert Louis Stevenson, and took on 4 new film roles, including in My Brother is an Only Child, 2007, directed by Daniele Lucchetti, based on the novel Il Fascio Comunista by Antonio Pannacchi. Scamarcio won a David Di Donatello nomination for Best Supporting Actor for this work. He also played in Manual of Love 2, 2007, directed by Giovanni Veronese, Hovaglia di Te, 2007, directed by Luis Prieto, and Go Go Tales, 2007, directed by Abel Ferrara. In 2007 he began work on At a Glance, 2008, directed by Sergio Rubini, Italians, 2009, a comedy directed by Giovanni Veronese, and The Big Dream, 2009, set in Italy in 1968, directed by Michele Placido. Eden al West, directed by Costa Gavras, saw Scamarcio playing an illegal immigrant come innocent abroad. The Saison Affair, 2009, directed by Sergio Rubini, starred Scamarcio's then-partner, Italian-Greek actress, Valeria Golino, who played his sister. The lead in Golino's 2018 movie Euphoria is considered to be one of Scamarcio's best performances. 3. He starred in John Wick, Chapter 2, playing the Italian mob boss, Santino D'Antonio, the antagonist in the film. In 2024 he starred as the lead character in the Netflix film Vanished into the Night, directed by Renato De Maria and starring Annabelle Wallis. This film was in Netflix's top 10 in July of that year. Personal life. From 2006 to 2016 Scamarcio dated actress and director Valeria Golino. They continue working together even after the breakup and maintain a good bond. 4. Scamarcio has a daughter, B 2020, with Angharad Wood. Since 2021, he has been in a relationship with Italian actress Benedetta Porcaroli. John Wick, Chapter 2 is a 2017 American action thriller film directed by Chad Stahelski and written by Derek Kolstad. As the direct sequel to John Wick, 2014, it is the second installment in the John Wick franchise. The film stars Keanu Reeves as the title character, with a supporting cast of Common, Lawrence Fishburne, Riccardo Scamarcio, Ruby Rose, Lance Reddick, Peter Stormare, Bridget Moynihan, Franco Nero, John Leguizamo, and Ian McShane. The film's plot follows retired hitman John Wick, Reeves, as he is forced back into his old life to fulfill a blood oath to crime lord Santino D'Antonio, Scamarcio. Following the box office success of the previous film, Stahelski and the first film's uncredited CO director David Leitch said a sequel film begun development in February 2015. Later that same month, John Feldheimer confirmed plans for additional John Wick properties to create a media franchise, and announced the return of Kolstad as the sequel's screenwriter. Principal photography began in October 2015 and lasted until early that following year, with filming taking place in Montreal, New Jersey, New York City, and Rome. John Wick, Chapter 2 had its premiere at the ArcLight Hollywood in Los Angeles on January 30, 2017, and was released by Lionsgate in the United States on February 10. The film received acclaim from critics, with praise for the action sequences, direction, editing, visual style, and the performances of the cast, particularly Reeves. 4. It grossed $174.3 million worldwide, becoming the then highest grossing film in the franchise. A sequel, John Wick, Chapter 3 Parabellum, was released in May 2019. Plot: John Wick infiltrates a smuggling compound run by Abram Tarasov, who is highly strung following the recent deaths of his nephew Iosif and brother Vigo at John's hands. There, he recovers his stolen Boss 429 Mustang and kills all of Abram's men in a violent rampage, but spares Abram himself under the promise of peace. Returning home, he sends his Mustang off to be repaired by Aurelio and attempts to restart his life of quietude. That night, John is visited by the Camorra crime boss Santino D'Antonio, who, given John's brief return from retirement, is now seeking his services. John is bound by a marker, a medallion symbolizing a blood oath, with Santino, who had helped him complete the impossible task that allowed him to retire and marry Helen. Nevertheless, John refuses, prompting Santino to destroy his house with a grenade launcher. After surviving Santino's attack, he travels to the Continental Hotel in New York City, where Winston reminds him that the underworld has two strictly enforced rules: no conducting business, i.e., assassinations, on Continental grounds, and honoring the marker. To avoid a death sentence, John reluctantly accepts Santino's marker and is tasked with assassinating Santino's sister Gianna, allowing Santino to claim her seat at the High Table, a council of 12 high-level crime bosses in the underworld. Santino sends Ares, his mute bodyguard, to observe John's mission. In Rome, John makes his way through Gianna's coronation and finds her in her dressing room. Faced with certain death, she chooses to slit her wrists, after which he shoots her in the head to end her suffering and fulfill Santino's marker. While leaving the site, John is attacked by Gianna's bodyguard Cassian, forcing him to flee to the nearby catacombs, where he is double-crossed by Ares, who intends to kill him to tie up loose ends on Santino's behalf. After killing most of Ares' henchmen, Cassian again pursues John, with the ensuing fight leading them into the Rome Continental, where they are stopped from conducting business. John explains that he was forced to kill Gianna due to her brother's marker. Cassian, while understanding, tells him that he cannot let the assassination go unpunished, but promises to grant him a quick death. The Rome Continental's manager, Julius, gives John safe passage back to New York. Santino has opened a contract to have John assassinated, ostensibly to avenge his sister's death. As John fights off numerous assassins, Winston visits Santino and confirms the marker's fulfillment, thus freeing John from being unable to defy or harm Santino. In the New York City subway, John encounters Cassian, and the two men engage in a grueling melee that ends with Cassian being stabbed in the aorta and left for dead. Now severely injured, John seeks aid from an underground crime boss known as the Bowery King. Intrigued by his intent to kill a member of the High Table, the Bowery King sportingly gives John a Kimber M1911 pistol with 7 bullets, one for each million of the contract. He also directs him to an art museum, where Santino holds a gala. John attacks the museum and kills all of Santino's subordinates, including Ares, whose actions buy time for Santino to escape to the Continental, where he boasts about remaining in sanctuary indefinitely. Despite Winston's calls for restraint, John executes Santino in the Continental Lounge. The next day, Winston meets with John and explains that the Camorra has doubled the bounty on John's head, offering it globally. Further, for conducting business on Continental grounds, per the High Table's rules, Winston is forced to declare John excommunicado, terminating his privileges and access to underworld resources. However, due to their friendship, Winston delays the excommunicado status by 1 hour and provides him with a marker for future use. Before leaving, John tells Winston to warn every High Table assassin that he will kill everyone who tries to hunt him down. As John departs, Winston formally initiates the excommunicado contract process, setting it to go live in 1 hour. Increasingly tense, John begins running, as phones around him start to ring en masse. Cast. A photograph of Keanu Reeves. A photograph of Riccardo Scamarcio. A photograph of Keanu Reeves, pictured in 2015, Riccardo Scamarcio, 2009, and Common, 2011. Keanu Reeves as John Wick. A legendary hitman who comes out of retirement after Russian mobsters break into his house, kill his puppy, and steal his car. After wiping out his offenders, he is wholly thrust back into the criminal underworld in order to fulfill a blood oath to the man who enabled his retirement. Riccardo Scamarcio as Santino D'Antonio. An Italian crime boss who enabled John's retirement by helping him complete an impossible task in exchange for John swearing by a blood oath medallion known as a marker. Invoking the marker, he seeks to have his sister assassinated by John, with the intention of usurping her position and then eliminating John to tie up loose ends. 5. Claudia Gerini as Gianna D'Antonio. An Italian crime boss who inherited her father's empire and status as a member of the prestigious High Table. She is the sister of Santino and an old friend of John. Ian McShane as Winston Scott. The owner and manager of the Continental Hotel in New York City. He is a powerful underworld figure and a close friend of John, for whom he acts as a father figure. 6. Ruby Rose as Ares. A mute assassin who serves as Santino's personal bodyguard. 5. Common as Cashin. An assassin who serves as Gianna's personal bodyguard. 7. Lawrence Fishburne as the Bowery King. An underground crime lord of New York City and an enemy-turned-acquaintance of John. 8. Lance Reddick as Karen. The concierge at Winston's Continental Hotel in New York City and an acquaintance of John. 5. Peter Stormare 9 as Abram Tarasov. A Russian crime boss in New York City and the last of the Tarasov family's major figures. He is the uncle of Iosif Tarasov and the brother of Viggo Tarasov, both of whom were killed by John in the events of the first film. Franco Nero as Julius. The owner and manager of the Continental Hotel in Rome. John Leguizamo as Aurelio. The owner of a high-end chop shop and an old friend of John. 5. Bridget Moynihan as Helen Wick. John's late wife, who succumbed to a terminal illness sometime before the end of John's retirement. 5. Thomas Sadoski as Jimmy. A police officer in New York City and an acquaintance of John. Peter Serafino as the sommelier. A weapons supplier at the Continental Hotel. Luca Mosca as the tailor. A tailor and armorer at the Continental Hotel. Yuma Diakite as Lucia. The concierge at Julius Continental Hotel in Rome. Tobias Siegel as Earl. A homeless criminal and assassin who works for the Bowery King in New York City. Was Stevensda as the consigliere. A Russian mobster and Abram's top subordinate. Chikwudi Iwuji as Mr. Akani. An underworld figure who is in debt to or part of the High Table and in an uneasy position with Gianna's organization. Yamamoto Yamarita as Raja. A Japanese sumo wrestler and assassin who hunts John in an attempt to claim Santino's bounty. Production. Development. In February 2015, directors Chad Stahelski and David Leitch stated that a John Wick sequel had begun development. 10/11 in the same month, John Feldheimer, CEO of Lionsgate, stated during a conference call that we see John Wick as a multiple-title action franchise. Additionally, it was reported that Kalstad would return to write the screenplay. 12 In May 2015, it was confirmed that a sequel was greenlit, and Lionsgate would be selling the film at the Cannes Film Festival. Reeves and Stahelski appeared in a 30-minute AOL Build interview in early February 2017 to discuss the development and casting of the film. 13. Casting. It was announced that Keanu Reeves, Leitch, and Stahelski would return, with filming set to begin in late 2015. 14 In October 2015, Common joined the film to play the head of security for a female crime lord. 7 And Ian McShane was confirmed to return as Winston, the owner of the Continental Hotel. 15 In November 2015, Bridget Moynihan, John Leguizamo, Thomas Sadoski, and Lance Reddick were confirmed to return, while Ruby Rose, Riccardo Scamarcio, and Peter Stormare were added to the cast. due to Michael Nyqvist having health problems. 5. In December 2015, it was announced that Lawrence Fishburne would appear in a supporting role. 16. Reeves was trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu by the Machado brothers for the role. 17. Filming. Principal photography on the film began on October 26, 2015, in New York City. 18. At the end of first week, filming had taken place in Manhattan. Filming moved to Rome next 15 and later resumed in Montreal on October 28, 2015. Studio shots were located in New Jersey. 19. Filming locations. Continental Hotel in New York, Reality, Beaver Building in Manhattan. The Flatiron-shaped 15-story skyscraper was completed in 1904 in the Renaissance Revival style. 19. Rooftop of the Continental Hotel in New York, Reality, Roof Garden of the Rockefeller Plaza Building. 19. John Wick's house, Reality, 121 Mill Neck, Long Island, New York. 19. Continental Hotel in Rome, Reality, the Museo Centrale del Risorgimento, located next to the Roman Forum. 19. Gianna's coronation party, Reality, the ruins of the Baths of Caracalla, the nearly 1,800-year-old Roman public baths. 19. Music. Main article, John Wick, Chapter 2, Soundtrack. Tyler Bates and Joel J. Richard returned to write and compose the film's soundtrack. 20. Along with the return of L.E. Castlevania and Cisandra Nostalgia. 21. The soundtrack has also featured Alice in Chains guitarist and CO lead vocalist Jerry Cantrell in the song A Job to Do, whose lyrics were written by Cantrell from the perspective of Keanu Reeves' character. 22. Release. Theatrical. John Wick, Chapter 2 premiered at ArcLight Hollywood in Los Angeles on January 30, 2017, and was theatrically released in the United States on February 10, 2017, by Summit Entertainment. 23. In the United Kingdom, the film was granted a 15 certificate by the British Board of Film Classification after 23 seconds of a suicide scene were removed to avoid an 18 rating. 1. The film opened in UK cinemas on February 17, 2017, and was distributed by Warner Brothers, with CO production from Lionsgate Studio Summit Entertainment. Australia was one of the last major countries to receive the film, with a release on May 18. 24. Home media. John Wick, Chapter 2 was released on DVD, Blu-ray and Ultra HD Blu-ray on June 13, 2017, from Summit Inc./Lionsgate. 25. 26. 27. Reception. Box office. John Wick, Chapter 2 grossed $92 million in the United States and Canada and $82.3 million in other territories for a worldwide gross of $174.3 million. 3. The film grossed $90.5 million worldwide in its first 9 days of release, surpassing the entire theatrical gross of the first film, $88.8 million. 28. In the United States and Canada, the film opened alongside 2 other sequels, the Lego Batman Movie and 50 Shades Darker, and was projected to gross around $20 million in